The animation studio that brought you beloved family classics has now introduced a streaming service, Disney+. And now, from the same community that brought you Reactaholics podcast, comes a new show where we discuss Disney Plus content old and new. Disney+ Pals. Welcome to Disney+ Pals.
Recording, and we're good to go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Disney+ Pals. I'm joined by Callum McRitchie. Say hi, Callum.
Let's get dangerous.
I'm joined by Cherise Sarazan. Say hi, Cherise.
Woohoo!
And of course, I am the cough drop that actually makes you cough more. I am the power outage that happens while your YouTube video is uploading. I am Neil Wing Duck? Neil Wing Human? I don't know. What do you guys think? What am I?
Human.
Good question.
Everything is... Oh, I think my mic is screwing up. Hold on.
McRury time Rury?
And you left. Welcome, everybody, to a particularly special episode of Disney+ Pals. This is going to be quite unique. We're looking at a crossover between Darkwing Duck and the new Ducktales series.
Well, technically it's not a crossover at all. Technically this is just an episode of Ducktales. Cher, why do you have your ears covered? Do I sound terrible?
You sounded loud just a few moments ago, but I think you're fine.
Oh, apologies. I didn't mean to. But, yeah, so this isn't really a crossover just because, Darkwing doesn't have his own show right now, so this is just them taking the character. Not yet, but he might after the second episode we're doing today. But yeah, we knew we wanted to do DuckTales. We didn't know the best way to do it, and right now, everybody is all about the whole Darkwing stuff that's happening. We all like Darkwing Duck, we all like DuckTales, so we figured, hey, that would be easier than doing the whole show. So let's just do the Darkwing episodes and maybe talk about DuckTales along the way. How much have you guys seen of DuckTales anyways? The new one.
Which version?
The new one. Or both. Just talk about how you feel about DuckTales.
I've seen it every now and then. I'll be honest,
Alright.
I haven't been watching it a lot.
You remind me of Webby from that show, though. Even down to having a pink thing on your head.
That's very true. That's, you're not wrong there.
How about you, Callum? How have you kept up with
All
the past
I'm missing
DuckTales
is a
or this one?
grappling hook.
We'll get you one.
So I have seen the premiere, of course. I suppose who hasn't? I've seen probably like the first several episodes up until this, to my memory, this one where they go into this big corporation, ends with Scrooge's rival planning on getting some corporate figure into some form of torture, and it turns out he has a fake beard. I've seen
Glumgold?
Yeah, Glumgold, that's it. This whole time his beard was just fake, and he just put it on and off. That cracked me up.
Well,
Quack.
all I remember was the first episode of the series, thanks to Nostalgia Critic. Just because. The stuff with Magic of the Spell, I've watched the most. And then the last time I watched a DuckTales episode was for Halloween.
Oh, I haven't seen their Halloween episode yet, so you know a little more than I do, Cher.
I mean, according to Disney Plus, it said it was a Halloween episode.
Oh, was it not Halloweeny?
It didn't really feel Halloweeny.
Well, the new episode that came out actually takes place on Halloween, so I guess that's the one I thought you were talking about.
No.
For me, I remember watching the original DuckTales as a kid. It became that one kid show for me that was just okay to watch as like a teenager and stuff.
Did the theme
Because it
song
was
get
cool.
stuck in your head like the Nostalgia Critic did?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Life is not a hurricane here in Ducktales. None of that happened. Race cars, lasers, airplanes. It's not a duck blur. None of it.
Hopefully Doug Walker doesn't attack us. Please don't.
Why would he attack us? I could beat up the Nostalgia Critic. I could do it. I'm confident in my skills.
Drink Wilkins coffee.
All I gotta do is distract him by saying, "Oh, look, a bat credit card." He'll start screaming.
Or just sing the Doug theme song. Just sing the Doug theme song.
Sing the Doug theme song whilst leaving the bat credit card on his face.
Unfortunately, he's giving me all the tools I need to defeat him. But yeah, I loved DuckTales as a kid. I loved it with all of my heart. And the freaking Scrooge McDuck as a character is probably, honestly, one of Disney's best.
Originally played by Alan Young.
Mm-hmm. He's
Before
and
his
played in
untimely
this
demise,
one.
now the new version has David Tennant, which I love because he's Kilgrave on Jessica Jones.
I freaking love David Tennant in anything he's in. He's one of those actors that we're gonna look back on one of these days and remember just how great he was. And he nails this new, very heartfelt version of Scrooge McDuck because, back in the day, I think the biggest difference between New DuckTales and Old DuckTales is Old DuckTales was about the adventure, New DuckTales is about the family. And while both are still really cool and have those adventure things, I do prefer New DuckTales just because they also have the nostalgia aspect of it where they're like playing with all these different things from Disney Afternoon. Like,
yeah, they make so many references. It's so fun. Even I never grew up with any of the original stuff, and I knew exactly what they were referring to.
I was watching this one episode, and it was about Launchpad becoming a spy, and I thought that was cool. But then halfway through, he's like trapped in a door, like a cage, and freaking the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers come out and unlock the door, and then they leave, and we never see them again.
Rescue
And I love
Rangers.
Chip and Dale. I didn't really grow up watching much of the Disney Afternoon stuff, but I did see the DuckTales movie where they find a magic lamp. And recently I've been binge watching Gargoyles this year.
Oh my goodness, they find a magic lamp. Is Genie in there? Just kidding.
I think they call him Gene. That Genie actually popped up in the show. So one way or another, I think they're going to do a version of the movie, maybe adapt it. And he's actually voiced in the show by Jaleel White. And if you don't recognize that name, you might recognize him by his other name, Steve Urkel.
If someone touches you in a way that's not appropriate, that's no good.
That is very true. That is not good. If somebody...
I remember watching the new DuckTales. I remember it had like Darn Carnage in it.
Oh, Don Carnage, yes! Look, if you're not watching DuckTales, go watch it. But back to the Sonic joke. If somebody throws your grandpa into a different dimension, you gotta get out of there.
Yes, do not trust Lance Strombo or the original Genie from the Broadway musical of Aladdin.
I think his name is James Monroe Iglehart. Is that it? Did I get it right today?
Yeah.
Yay! I got an actor right for once.
Jim Cummings plays a big part in this. He is also Robotnik in the Sat AM version. He's in one of his most intimidating roles.
Oh, and by the way,
he's also Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Just before I forget some of the trivia.
Winnie the Pooh related because of you know who.
Do you guys know who voices Drake Mallard in this?
It sounded like Jim Cummings, but I didn't want to say it was Jim Cummings.
It's not Jim Cummings. Cummings voices the other guy, Jim
Jim Starling. It sounds familiar. I know.
Well, you want to know why his voice might be a little familiar? That's the same guy who does Mickey Mouse.
Same guy does Mickey Mouse.
I can't remember his name.
No, I'm searching this. I'm always the search engine. You're welcome. I'm searching this.
Yeah, Sherry, you're the one who cares to look this up.
I do, because I freaking love voice actors. We need to do an episode about that.
Oh yeah,
Just
that's a good
actors
idea.
of Disney.
Oh, I will talk forever ends about Tara Strong and Richard Horvitz.
Let me know when you got that, Cher. But I think one of the things I really like about new Ducktales specifically is that this is just like the icing on the cake. If they're really confident about an episode, which they were with this particular Darkwing episode, they will straight up just post it on YouTube for everybody to see.
Oh, it's Chris. Why did the last name
Yeah, his
always
last name.
so
That's
long?
why I couldn't say it. It's like Mizaspizadopoli. It's like that.
I know it's like Chris Diamantopoulos.
It's like that one Superman villain, Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Yeah, Diamantopoulos. Right?
Diamantopoulos. It's something like that.
That makes more sense. Diamantopoulos.
Chris Diamantopoulos or something.
Diamantopoulos.
But he is also Mickey Mouse. And that is cool.
All right.
But now that we've talked about the actors and stuff, I do have to ask because, these are technically episodes of DuckTales. Even though both of these episodes are kind of standalone, you don't have to watch DuckTales to know. I am curious to ask, do we have any opinions on what we've seen of DuckTales so far? I know you mentioned you've seen a couple episodes, both of you. So do you have any favorites or anything you really like about it?
I like that one episode where they have that dream.
Oh, the one where they have the shared dreams?
Yeah. I'm always a sucker for those dream episodes.
I loved what happened with what's the girl's name? Is it Lana?
Lena's
character, because the whole twist about her is she's connected to Magica Dispel, and they keep playing with that so well. DuckTales, man, fucking DuckTales.
Woo-hoo.
What about you, Cal? Any opinions or highlights?
I do like that. There, even though you can definitely sense that there's a Gravity Falls influence on it, and every other show that's been on Disney Channel ever since. This rebooted DuckTales, and it could have easily have just been, oh, do you remember this thing? Do you remember this thing? Like in Jungle Book 2, where you think, yeah, I probably would have preferred watching the original, thanks. But they didn't.
About Disney sequels.
Yeah.
Not yet.
But they managed to provide some new things while having the callbacks. To be honest, the main appeal for this show is usually the people who did grow up with Disney Afternoon. For the younger generation, this is kind of an education. The reference might kind of just fly over their heads, but even then, there's still some fun adventures, some funny shenanigans, as well as an intriguing, somewhat of an intriguing plot story when the introduction of Huey, Dewey, and Louie having a mother. Big shock. That it's kind of a big revelation, because Huey, Dewey, and Louie were always just these side characters who would be there to frustrate Donald Duck throughout the years and go on the adventures.
Especially Quack Pack.
It's funny that you brought up both Quack Pack and Donald Duck, because Donald in this show happens to be one of my favorite parts of it, because we've seen Donald Duck before. We've seen him in plenty of stuff. We've seen emotional Donald Duck with I remember this one Christmas episode of House of Mouse where Donald has to get in the Christmas spirit, and it's so good. I love the really heartfelt things they can do with Donald. But in this show,
oh yeah, wasn't there one time where they actually were able to understand Donald because all he does is
when they do it, he's voiced by the same guy who plays War Machine in the fucking Marvel movie.
Don Cheadle?
Yeah, it's Don Cheadle as Donald. But I really love that they are portraying Donald has a single dad of these kids. the reason he gets angry because nobody can understand a word he's saying, and he like funnels all of that anger into the fact that he loves these kids and needs to take care of it. And fucking, I loved Donald before just because he was funny, but now I'm legitimately like, this character is becoming a part of me slowly, and I love Donald. But yeah, Donald's not even in either of these episodes, so not applicable. So I guess let's talk a little bit before we get into the plot. What was our connection to Darkwing Duck, the original series?
The Nostalgia Critic.
Just the Nostalgia Critic?
Are we just going to credit the Nostalgia Critic for everything?
I'm not crediting him shit. I'm not a sheep. I have my own opinions.
Be original, Charisse. Get out of here.
Well, Charisse is the most original out of the three of us. Out of the three of us, Charisse is the coolest by far.
That we can guarantee. So Darkwing Duck, I've never actually seen the series until tonight. Actually, I took the time to watch Beauty and the Beat in relation to the Darkwing Duck episodes, just to get to the feel of what it was like. But I definitely heard it in passing about Darkwing Duck's relationship with his daughter and stuff like that. The fact that Launchpad is in.
Daughter.
Yeah. He goes on these fun adventures. He's voiced by Jim Cummings, and the theme song. So pretty much the Duck Batman. But that's pretty much all I know about it. I didn't actually watch the series growing up per se.
I mean, I feel
I didn't either. I got introduced to them.
Wow, we're all in the same boat. I didn't see that many episodes of Darkwing Duck either, which was weird because the only time I ever saw Darkwing Duck was occasionally I would see Launchpad on screen and be like, oh, it's Ducktales. Keep watching and then realize, oh, it's actually Darkwing Duck. And I like Darkwing Duck. I've seen a couple episodes now, but as a kid, I just didn't watch it. Honestly, my opinion on the character is really coming from this show, and they're nailing it, and they're really, like, they succeeded with Callum. They're really making me want to go back and watch the old Darkwing Duck. Like, they are nailing this character to a point where even if you don't know anything about it, you know there's so much love and care being put into this that you want to know what it is. You want to feel it. And Disney really freaking nails that with, like, nostalgia. Like, they do this with Marvel. They do this with Mandalorian. I was going to say Star Wars in general, but they're not doing it well in the movies.
They're really
they are
doing it everywhere. Especially with the live-action reboots. Like, you know, with live-action reboots.
Star Wars is doing it well in everything except the movies at the moment. Recently saw their Lego holiday special. It's hilarious and brilliant.
I have yet to
the
watch
Lego
it,
holiday special.
because I'm still skeptical. I don't know.
You're gonna laugh your ass off, Cher. There's towards the end a very, very you joke.
I mean, I like Ray, but it's just because of the people on the internet that makes me like, I don't know.
Just remember, Cher, this isn't canon and it's just fun. Just go have fun.
Okay. I just feel bad for Ray, because I don't know if I'm supposed to like her or not.
Well, the good news is the internet seems to like this Darkwing Duck stuff, and if they didn't, when has that ever stopped us before? But yeah, so 3 not so Darkwing Duck fans, but 3 big lovers of the Disney afternoon. Like, you know, real fast, just because I'm curious, what was your guys' favorite Disney afternoon show? I assume it's Gargoyles for you, Cal.
Yeah.
Mine was DuckTales. I'm not even gonna play with you guys here. It was DuckTales.
And Charisse's is the Aladdin show.
That one was so good, though. Cher recently showed me, guys. I don't know if you know this, viewers. There is a crossover between Aladdin and Hercules with their 2 TV shows, and I didn't know until Cher showed me.
We gotta do that one. We gotta do that one later.
One day, because I'm so surprised no one knows about this.
Yeah, you even got Jafar and Hades bantering with each other.
Jafar and Hades are like the biggest part of the episode. The big I'm reviewing the episode, but we had to review other stuff, so I need to stop. Let's just say it's good, and there's an issue with it, but overall, it's pretty good.
We'll get back to, Genie, yeah.
Back to Ducktales.
Woohoo.
So let's just get into these 2 episodes for those who want to watch before we do our review and spoil it for you. These episodes are the Duck Knight Rises, and Let's Get Dangerous. I love that pun right off the bat.
Spoilers.
Yeah, there are spoilers moving forward. And even though we have sort of been not recapping as much as usual, we are going to speedily recap these episodes. So let's go for it. So this episode starts with Launchpad and Dewey hanging out and watching an episode of the old Darkwing Duck TV show starring Jim Starlin. They're watching. Let's get dangerous. But they're actually watching this episode in like a mattress place, like a place where they sell mattresses, because Jim Starling, the actor who plays Darkwing Duck, is going to sign autographs there. And there is another person who looks a little bit like Jim Starling in the audience. We don't really know who he is. Yeah, like a younger version of him. Wonder who he is. He even mentions he dedicated his entire life to being like Darkwing Duck when talking to Launchpad. And Launchpad and him.
Foreshadowing.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. This not going to come back. Surely it's not going to come back. Well, anyway.
You will see Darkwing Duck will get an employee.
What a show! Shadowing fun.
Oh, we at a Hamilton party?
I'll give you 2 Darkwings instead of 1. But yeah, so what happens is, Jim Starling is like, I need a real gig, and he discovers that a Darkwing Duck the movie is being made. Launchpad is fainting. He's so excited. They go to the studio and they find out the movie is actually being made by Uncle Scrooge. A big-time movie director convinced Scrooge McDuck to make a Darkwing Duck the movie. And they watch the trailer. It's a dark reboot like we're used to seeing. There's a Commissioner Gordon type character. I saw the 2 Ds, which is the 2 Ds in the fire, which is a direct reference to Daredevil. It's just everything everybody fears when it said, we're getting a reboot. Like, I feel like some people are going to be expecting things like this when that live-action Powerpuff Girls show happens.
And to make things better, the
director...
Not
my bubbles.
Bubbles is going to come back and be a teenager in high school, and you're going to like it.
This isn't Riverdale. Stop it. This isn't
Powerpuff Dale.
Stop.
It's happening, Cher. It's happening.
Shut up, Heather.
A few things I just love off the bat. The fact that Darkwing Duck's real name is Jim Starling. A subtle nod to Jim Cummings. Secondly, the fact that the actual director of the Duck Knight movie is a clear parody of someone like Christopher Nolan, who made the Dark Knight trilogy. He's British, he's passionate about the philosophical undertone.
Look, Helen, that's because the episode is called the Duck Knight Rises.
I mean, it is a little nail on the coffin. But yeah, so Jim is super excited for the movie, but alternatively, we see the 3 different types of things with fans. There's one person who's excited in the form of Jim Starling, Launchpad, who is ruined who is very worried they're ruining what he loved, and Dewey, who is a young kid who didn't know anything about Darkwing Duck, so he just doesn't care.
Gee, does that sound familiar?
I know. When on Earth have franchise been ruined because the kids who didn't care got their way?
Gem and the Holograms.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
All the Scooby-Doo live-action movies. Pretty
Scoob
much every
specifically
live-action Disney movie.
Scoob specifically.
Alright.
Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog was good, Callum, but he still flossed.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Sonic is voiced by Dewey.
Oh yeah, the guy who plays Dewey in this movie is also Sonic the Hedgehog in the movie.
I was not expecting that. But I was expecting not to expect something, so that doesn't count.
I want to rewatch that movie.
Oh, yeah, like, oh my goodness, like, I totally agree with this. Every single time my parents and I talk about stuff that we used to grow up with, we always go back to the whole Hollywood's running out of ideas, because, oh my goodness, my mom was on this chat before, and she was spewing out so many explanations of why Hollywood was running out of ideas. She's a brilliant woman. I love my mother. And my father. I know she is. I love her so much.
Well,
No, it's true, because here's the thing, like, every generation's gonna have their own big hit. You know, my dad had, like, the Twilight Zone. My mom had, like, I don't know what she had. I know my brother, because, and may he rest in peace, but my brother, he was born in the 80s, so he had, like, Thundercats and Dragon Ball and He-Man. And then you see, like, newer versions that come out, and they do, like, a different style, a different part. It's the same characters, but, like, in different settings. For me, you know, there was Teen Titans, which unfortunately got turned into Teen Titans Go.
mhm.
Well,
and then there was a Kim Possible, which got turned into a live-action movie. Why the hell did they do that, Disney Channel?
The show's good.
But anyways, everyone's gonna have their own thing, and whether you like it or not, I mean, it is what it is. You know, when they're gonna do freaking Strawberry Shortcake.
I do see new Ducktales maybe being a thing for, like, I think we can all agree that the big thing when we were kids, the thing that, like, really got super huge was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the thing that came out. That's the thing that came out when we were children, and is really huge and still big right now.
Yeah.
And
Arguably, it never was.
I think Gravity Falls is going to become that for current generations.
That was during my high school year.
Well, it's pretty much, they had, like, Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, regular show, My Little Pony,
Honestly, they're
Princess
gonna get
Magic.
a lot
Don't
of.
judge me. I love that show. Don't judge me.
They're gonna get a lot of shows like that. Like even
Yeah,
DuckTales,
there's a lot
I
of
think,
shows.
could fall into that. But back to the episode itself. Of course, as Cher was bringing up, Launchpad is worried they're gonna ruin this thing he loved, and
just like modern audiences, or actually old audiences. But yeah, you get my point.
But Jim Starling is okay with it.
Well, he is voiced by Jim Cummings, so.
Yeah, Jim Starling is okay with it. He is, like, convinced that he just wants the role for the money and stuff. And the director's like, "Oh, you're not in it. You're not even going to be remade with CG. You're just not fucking in it." So
Not
Jim
even
and
a
Launchpad,
cameo. Not even a cameo.
Jim and Launchpad get thrown out, and Jim comes up with this plan that honestly feels kind of evil. When I was watching this the first time, I was like, "Oh, Darkwing is being, like, super douchey," where they're gonna break in.
Like he's about to be negative.
Well, he's gonna break in and kidnap the other actor and
kidnap how does it go again?
Are you trying to parody Kidnap the Santa Claus right now?
Sure, let's do it.
Kidnap the Darkwing Duck.
Put him in a bag. Bury him underground. See if he can sag.
Can you sag, Darkwing Duck?
Ew.
Good night, everybody.
But freaking, they break in, they get past this guy outside the security guard, and that guard is actually played by the original creator of Darkwing Duck.
Really?
Yeah, which is funny when he goes, "Darkwing Duck? Never heard of it."
Liar.
But Launchpad breaks in. Launchpad breaks into the actor who's going to play Darkwing's trailer, and we find out he's the guy from before who was at the signing. And he is a huge fan of Darkwing Duck. Frickin' Launchpad feels guilty. They fight for a little bit because Darkwing just wants, Launchpad just wants to do what's right. But he feels really guilty, and he's being pressured by Jim Starlin, who honestly, the more and more you think about it, you're sitting there like, Jim Starlin is Darkwing Duck. He has to be, because he looks like Darkwing Duck. He's voiced by Jim Cummings. But the really cool thing they do in this episode is he's not Darkwing Duck. This new guy is. And you can see that he has such a backstory that I think all nerds can relate to, where when he was a kid, he got beat up for liking what he liked. But since he loved Darkwing Duck, he just kept getting back up. He got his face frickin' smashed into his lunchbox of Darkwing Duck, and he keeps it as a reminder.
Before they mentioned that, so that was a cool attention to detail, yes.
It was great, and I do wonder if that little kid that beat him up was actually Steelbeak, who later shows up in Ducktales, but is a known Darkwing Duck villain. Anyways, so Launchpad and this new actor talk after playing games and stuff, and they decide, okay, we're going to team up with Jim Starlin, and we're going to make the movie great. So this actor goes and talks to Jim, but Jim grabs him, knocks him out, and throws him in a closet.
This is my show.
If you're like me, this entire time I'm like, what the hell are they doing with Darkwing Duck? They're making him so evil. Like, I was in denial about the fact that this new actor was going to be Darkwing. But at the end, they won me over. He was the clear choice. Anyways,
there's always a reason behind the mischief.
Jim goes in to play Darkwing. The main villain of the movie appears to be a rebooted version of Megavolt. Cher just died. She couldn't handle Megavolt. It's really cool to see like this dark version, especially because we see Megavolt himself in the next episode we're reviewing. But
Megavolt.
It's really cool to fucking see him with this electric thing. And Jim goes in, he does the Darkwing stuff. He's really good, like as a stunt double and doing the tasks, but he doesn't like the script. He grabs the gun and actually starts firing it everywhere. He gets an actual generator to power it, and he starts a fire, but he's like, no, you can't stop recording until I make my movie. And he's just going nuts. And this is where we get the terror that flaps in the night. The real Darkwing in full costume finally reveals himself. And it is great. We get a fight scene between the two. There's just so much emotion about this character who was inspired by a superhero of his past to come back and now become that character. And like, if you grew up with some property that you love, you know that feeling of carrying a character with you to the point where they feel like they're a part of you. And to become it, like some people take it a little too far and actually do try to become their characters. But to see that in this light, it was really cool. And Launchpad has to step in and be like, no, listen, you are both parts of Darkwing Duck. You are good people. The character of Darkwing Duck is a great person. And Launchpad is about to get like electrocuted and blown up. Darkwing goes to save him, but Jim Starlin gets in the way and he gets blown up. It ends on a sad note. Or does he? I guess we'll see in a minute. But Darkwing and Launchpad are talking, and Launchpad goes,
set the fire alarm to put out the fire, the water sprinklers.
Well, Launchpad and Darkwing are talking, and he goes, you know, you could do this for real, DW. Like, you could be the real Darkwing Duck and stop crime. Gizmo Duck does it. And of course, like, Darkwing goes, I'm better than Gizmo Duck. I can do this. And he signs an autograph for Launchpad, and we finally get his name, Drake Mallard, which is the name of the original Darkwing Duck. So they had this plan all friggin' along. And we just didn't know it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The original Darkwing Duck became the person who was inspired to be Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, this is definitely a new take, Callum. It's completely new, but I actually kind of like it because it's so creative. Because in the next episode we're going to review, they actually reference real episodes of Darkwing Duck that they're inspired by.
But before
And those
that,
can
something
exist in the
happens.
world.
Something happens.
Oh yeah, the ending scene. Do you want to talk about it, Jer?
We pan down by the drainage to see some.
Nothing good ever happens in the sewer drainage unless you're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Nothing ever good happens in the sewage.
Note to self. Note to self. Yeah. Purplish paint is emanating.
Yes,
Purple becomes yellow.
You see that like some bleach may have gone on his suit or something. The water
Like
of the
that
sewage.
one episode of the Powerpuff Girls. That one episode of the Powerpuff Girls.
And he said, we see Jim Starling still alive, but his clothes are starting to fade from the bright purples we're used to orange. And he goes, he stole my one fan? Oh, I'll show them. I'll show all of them. They want dark and gritty, huh? Well, I'm ready to play the part. And it's revealed he's Negaduck. And that's so cool!
Negaduck.
They friggin' did Negaduck. Oh, so what did we think of this episode?
It's really, really to Darkwing Duck does go into the issue of carrying on the legacy of beloved heroes and such, whilst brilliantly parodying today's dark, gritty reboots in general. I mean, Christopher Nolan's probably a bit of a stretch. He actually makes good dark superhero movies, unless you talk to Mel, but that's another story. But it is quite self-aware and very self-aware. I always like that kind of humor, and it's quite clever. It's got some heart to it, and certainly has potential for more adventures to come. Yes.
I love this episode. It is my favorite episode of Ducktales. I love the themes it plays with because, like, I've talked about this before, but I think that if I didn't see the movie Spider-Man when I was a kid and fall in love with that character, I'd probably be a completely different person than what I am today. And because of that, I see him like talking about Darkwing Duck and the superhero he loved, and I get it. I feel that emotion, and it really, really hits hard for me. I absolutely love this episode. I love everything about it. Cher, what did you think?
Yeah, adding on to Callum, there's so much stuff that we grew up as kids. And then when you hear that they're making a reboot, we get all worried because we don't know what it is. Sometimes things happen for a reason. We can't control that. And sometimes it's okay to have change. There's certain things that you shouldn't change, but sometimes the little bitty parts that do change sometimes can play an effective role because nothing's perfect. Not every single one of your movies or TV shows that you grew up with is perfect. Hey, I like certain things that you guys might not like. So when something becomes different, it feels weird at first, but once you try to get into it, try to understand why they make those changes, you might feel a little bit better about it. Yeah, unless your Teen Titans go.
Like honestly, when you brought up the whole, sometimes these things happen and it ends up being okay in the end. I specifically thought about how when the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was happening, a black actor attempted to audition for the role and was essentially told, no, you can't because Spider-Man isn't black. And then, like, obviously that's a terrible thing, but it led to the creation of Miles Morales. Because afterwards, people started asking the question, well, what would it be like if Spider-Man was black? And without that one bad thing, we would never have this super amazing character.
Wait,
Yeah, and like I said, some stuff from like the original series or movie series, everything has flaws. Whether
Well-
you want to admit or not, certain things from the original have flaws. So they usually, hopefully, they try to improve on those flaws, and whether they work or they don't work, it's all about different iterations, different perspectives of what people. Not everyone grew up with certain things that the original demographic grew up with, but it kind of is the way it is. Hollywood is definitely running out of ideas, but hey, if you want
that
to
is
try to
creative
bring
to
something back,
see them
like
recycle them.
Animaniacs, which is supposed to be coming back tomorrow on Hulu, go watch it.
Hey, Animaniacs!
Hope-
Yes.
Let's just hope that's good. You know,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Our friend John Bailey is apparently going to be in that as a winged Pegasus.
Nice.
My little pony.
Um,
Generations.
if I'm to point to an example which relates to the episode itself, I'd say the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan, who they parodied here, is also kind of oddly enough, a good example of taking creative liberties to take what worked with the old and embrace something new. We all know Batman and his fight with the Joker, and obviously the Tim Burton film adaptations must have had a large influence on the movies, as well as comics like The Killing Joke. But Christopher Nolan is a director who's known for making these sort of thriller, film noir movies with some complex themes and plots that you'd have to watch twice in order to fully grasp and understand the full picture. And every frame is like telling you something. He's a very talented director / writer. He made Batman and then improved on that with The Dark Knight. He had a very different approach with characters like the Joker. Not quite outwardly, "Ah, look at me, I'm a clown." This one was more downplayed, like, "Hi, yeah, I'm not gonna take it of you serious."
Although Heath Ledger was hilarious.
May he rest in peace. Oh, and then here's another example. My Little Pony has been on since the 80s. There's many different generations, and whether you like the original series or not, that's why there's different versions for everyone to enjoy. And then when this recent one ended, Friendship is Magic, many people love that one, and people became bronies and Pegasisters. And it's mainly because of like the lessons of like friendship and the way that they depicted problems and characters that we all fall in love with. And now that series has ended and a new generation is about to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be good or not. But hey, whatever the future holds, it could be good. It could be bad. If you want to watch it, go watch it. If you don't want to watch it, that's okay. But it's okay to give things a try.
Yeah, everyone is so scared of reboots, but the thing you got to realize, if something is popular enough to get rebooted now, it probably will get rebooted again in the future. So look at Ninja Turtles. So if you don't like this one, maybe you'll get another one later.
Yeah, there's various adaptations of stories like Christmas Carol and Pride and Prejudice and Oliver Twist and of course Batman and Superman and all these.
Can't wait for the live-action remake of Nightmare Before Christmas. I'll tell you that. Can't wait for that.
Well.
Oh yeah, the live action of Clifford the Big Red Dog and Curious George.
Yeah. Live action Lilo and Stitch, which is actually happening, and they announced the director the other day. God damn it!
It is happening. I don't know.
So moving on, are we ready to? Do we want to rank this episode and then jump into the next one, or do we want to go into the next episode first?
That's a good question. But we're using the Disney+ rating. I'd probably give this this episode. I suppose for any Darkwing Duck fan, I suppose you'd give it a Disney must.
Yeah, this is a 10 out. This is a Disney+ must for me. Like, I love this episode. It got me in the feels because it played with these themes I really like. I know I've been getting really high ratings lately, and don't worry, we're gonna review Captain Marvel here soon, and then I'm gonna like give the lowest rating I ever have, probably.
Oh, my dear friend Brie Larson, what happened to you?
But right now, I have to give my third Disney must in a row. I think everybody who likes Ducktales or Darkwing needs to watch this episode. And anyone who likes superheroes might just love watching this episode.
Or pretty much any nostalgic property in general, really.
Or anyone that likes cartoons.
I have seen this episode so many times, and I believe it to be a masterpiece. I love what this episode says. And it's so good! And it even brings back Negaduck!
What a twist.
What do you guys think? What are your ratings?
The show isn't my favorite, but I really appreciate what it's been able to achieve, especially with what we've been discussing. Is it true that a lot of people are talking about the Darkwing Duck episodes lately?
Yes, people specifically think the next one we're going to talk about might be a backdoor pilot for a Darkwing Duck show.
That would be interesting to bring back some of the Disney afternoon shows.
I mean, don't you worry. Eventually, DuckTales is going to bring back all of them. This season... What was that?
No, sorry. No, carry.
Well, this season they brought Daisy Duck in, and they're doing cool relationship stuff with Donald and Daisy. I love the show so much. But you guys still got to give it on the scale. So, what's your rating?
What's that name of that rating that goes just before?
Corumbus? Corumbus?
No, Robust is the one I think before Must. What we did for frickin' Hamilton was we couldn't decide what it was, so we called it a Corumbus.
Sir, it sounds like a spell.
Well, that's between combust and robust. So
I think the DuckTales show could have either a Disney Robust or a Disney Corumbust. But this specific episode is a Disney must.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think the whole show is probably a robust. Like, whatever's right below Disney must. It's a 9 out of 10, the whole show. But this episode is 10 out of 10.
I agree. Well, guys, let's get dangerous.
Yes, now we get to talk about these episodes.
Anyway.
So, a little less of a recap during this one because this episode is longer. But we are introduced.
On YouTube.
Yeah, you can watch this episode if you really want to. But we are introduced to a scientist named Taurus Bulba.
I get it, because Taurus is a zodiac sign. It's a bull. That's funny.
His last name is Bulba. Originally played by Tim Curry in the original show, but here he is played
Everything's good with Tim Curry.
But here he's played by James Monroe Iglehart. Very different take.
You may know as Blanche Strongbow from Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures, also known as Tangled the series. And he was also the original genie on the Broadway Aladdin musical, which I heard is supposed to be on Disney+.
He's in a ton of stuff, James Monroe Iglehart.
Oh my gosh, he was also in The Electric Company.
He was in, as well, so essentially, recently there was a benefit concert for Nightmare Before Christmas to save up some money for the people in Broadway who can't work right now because of the pandemic. And what James Monroe Iglehart ended up doing was playing Oogie Boogie.
Oh my gosh. That was actually pretty good idea. That was a good idea.
I mean, he is a great actor for it. Like, let's be honest, the man can sing.
What have we here?
Santa Claus, huh? I'm really scared.
So you're the one everybody's been talking about.
Shut up. But moving into this episode, we are introduced that this is one of Scrooge McDuck's scientists, and he has come up with a way to make nothing out of something. Essentially, he can take anything you want and just make it appear with this machine. To prove that, he makes haggis, which leads to one of the best jokes where it's like,
Wait,
Louis
Callum, have
walks
you
up.
tried haggis before? Is it good?
Yeah, you're from
definitely.
Scotland.
Yeah, it's basically, as they describe in Brave, a wee sheep stomach, and you mix it up with a few other ingredients, like including like oatmeal, the meat, and
Ladder, I believe.
but
Wait, I thought it was a spleen.
either
Are
way,
we all three confused on what part of the sheep this is?
let me educate you. I'm Scottish.
Hey,
I know
hey, hey. I dissected a sheep's brain.
And I watched this episode, which specifically claims it's a sheep bladder.
I thought they said sheep's spleen.
It's a bladder.
Either way,
That's how you know it's haggis.
You're probably right.
let me educate you. It's part of a sheep. You mix it with some oats, and you have it with some nice neeps and turnips. Specifically during Burns Supper, where we celebrate Robert Burns, a local Scottish poet, and sometimes you can have haggis with it. Some other things like fish and chip shop, they sometimes sell haggis as well. Really quite scrumptious if you ever get the chance to taste it. But they make the joke here that oh, it tastes like old socks. That's how you know it's haggis.
I forget the love of that line.
Not too far off, but haggis has a more like appealing smell. Like think of it like appealing old socks, if that makes sense.
This just makes it worse.
Oh, forget about the haggis. Anyways, he has this machine that can bring nothing.
Haggis, it
Essentially,
smells
if you want,
delicious.
shut up about haggis, you Scottish twit.
Freak out! Freak
I'll
out!
kill you both.
They may take my culture.
I'll kill you and the haggis.
All I asked was, Callum, have you tried haggis before? That's all I
Haggis!
Get your mind out of the haggis.
What do you even want us?
You guys are making my dogs bark. Stop.
How dare you cultured swine?
Tell him quit it.
Anyways, so
Yeah, so what happens is during Scrooge, shut up, Callum. During Scrooge meeting up with
Scrooge
Bulba, shut up. During Scrooge meeting up with Bulba, Launchpad is meeting up with DW in Saint Bernard, where all of this is going on.
wait, Saint Bernard or Saint Canard?
Saint Canard, my bad.
You said Bernard. I'm like, wait, there's a dog in here.
Well, so, you
Is
know the
Beethoven
obvious
here?
pun.
Where's Beethoven?
my memory.
Anyways, they're meeting up, and it's like, we're gonna fight crime and like make this little drama about Darkwing Duck. But there is no crime. The mayor has defeated all the crime, and because
Mayor
of that,
Owlson.
Darkwing is stuck.
Get it because she's an owl. Owls. Yeah, I'll shut up.
Allison. The funny thing is, she showed up as a secretary in season 1 and season 2, but now she's just a mayor, and that's so cool to me.
She got upgraded.
But yeah, so Darkwing goes out on patrol. He can't find any crime except for one, a little girl breaking into Bulba's lab. He goes in and stops her, and he becomes a hero because Bulba reveals him to the press, but later that little girl follows Darkwing back to his lair, and she reveals herself to be
Batgirl.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong.
Same color for hair.
Well, I believe the voice actress. Does the voice actress play Batgirl?
No, it's not Sarah McGraw.
Oh, well, but Cher, why did you call them Batgirl then?
Because her hair.
Oh, okay, so I'm dumb. Okay. Although this is an actress who played in the show. Shut up, Callum! I'll hit you!
Callum, let it go. Just let it go.
Let it go, let it go.
I just hope the fans don't kill my face.
But this actress is from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can't
Wait.
remember her character's name, but it is the same actress as, I believe, the romantic lead.
Oh, okay. So, Stephanie Beatrice is Goslin.
Yes,
Hello,
that is.
Stephanie.
Hello,
You want to dance Sporticus?
Bing bang, bing bing jong.
Oh, she's
Forget about
pretty.
that.
I like her.
Very
She's
pretty.
pretty.
She's a pretty lady.
Yeah, she's
moving
Detective Rosa
though,
Diaz.
moving forward, though, Gosland reveals that Bulba is actually a crook, which is something Drake doesn't want to admit because he was nice to Bulba was nice to Drake. He was nice to Darkwing, but Launchpad does talk to Darkwing and says, "Hey, you got to check it out, and you got to be sure that this isn't a bad dude." She is convinced that Bulba is the reason her grandfather is missing. And they go and explore Bulba's lab where they discover a picture, and Darkwing actually confronts Bulba about it, like, "Hey, what is this picture? Why do you have this?" It's a picture of her grandfather, and Bulba goes, "Oh yes, he was my friend. Unfortunately, at a time, the ramrod, which is the device that is making these things, was unstable. So unfortunately, he died." And Gosland reacts very violently to this, attacks Bulba, and runs for the ramrod. Darkwing stops her. He takes the key to it. But she reveals, "No, my grandpa's not dead. This machine goes and takes anything from other dimensions. He threw my grandfather into another dimension."
Yeah.
Gonna get a little weird, gonna get a little wild. I ain't from around here, I'm from another dimension.
So I think when Darkwing Duck was hiding in the drawers, I think there might have been a subtle nod to whenever Darkwing Duck would pull out that long, like Bruce Almighty drawer out from his lair in the old show to the point where he's almost hanging off the bridge and he had to climb back onto the drawer to get back. It's that long. That might or might not have been a reference to that. I'm not entirely sure. It's
It could have been. I wouldn't be surprised considering how many references are in this. But anyways, after learning that, Darkwing calms down the situation and is like, "Okay, you seem like a good guy, Bulba. If that's true, let us look for her grandfather. Let us check and see that he's not alive." And it is revealed that the ramrod is actually unstable. If they look too much, they could damage things. And Bulba has been lying. So he attacks them and tries to take the key. This actually ends up with Gosling going out a window onto some scaffolding.
To the window, to the
And
wall.
Bulba follows. Bulba follows him. Launchpad also ends up like meeting them on a balcony when they finally meet. But this is the first time we really see Darkwing fight a villain. And it is wonderful. It's a cool scene on the scaffolding. We get the whole "I am the terror that flaps in the night." It's wonderful to see it happen. And Gosland is thrown off the scaffolding. Drake goes after her, grabs her. They float down on his cape, which is tied to his feet, and he later ends up falling because of it. But Launchpad catches them, and we see all three of them together, and it's so sweet. It's a great Darkwing moment. And speaking of Darkwing moments, we cut back to Scrooge, who has figured out what's going on. He directly goes after Bulba, and Bulba's like, "I have to figure out how to delay them and that Darkwing Duck." So Scrooge threatens him and says, "You don't understand. The ramrod is dangerous. This could be dangerous." And then Bulba looks into his eyes and says,
and to imitate David Tennant.
"Let's get dangerous." And then he pulls the wing and brings out the Darkwing villains from the TV show.
Yes,
it was earlier
Joker,
established.
Poison Ivy, Aquaman, and Black Lightning.
I should say
Aquaman's not a villain.
Just kidding.
I saw Beauty and the Beat. The version of the villain, that villain from Beauty and the Beat, is much more intimidating in this new Ducktales show.
Yes, that is Bushfruit, I believe his name is. I know most of their names. It's Quackerjack, Bushroot, Megavolt, and then
And
one more, the water guy.
Nader. I think isn't one of them voiced by Tom Kenny?
Maybe. You might have to look that up, Cher.
I swear, I think Megavolt was voiced by Tom Kenny. I know Tom Kenny. He has a very distinct voice.
I loved Megavolt's voice in this, though. He was
Sounds like
so
a Tom
funny.
Kenny, I swear.
All
If it's
right,
not Tom Kenny, I'm gonna be so mad. If it's not
The
Tom Kenny, I'm gonna be
Liquidator.
mad.
His name is the Liquidator.
Liquidator. Oh, that sounds...
A water guy.
Oh.
So it's Quackerjack, Megavolt, Bushroot, and the Liquidator.
Damn it, it's Keith Ferguson! Why do you always... Oh, really? Keith Ferguson? God dang it. Ugh. I swear I sound like Tom Kenny.
The guy who does Quackerjack is actually from the original show. Like, it's the same voice actor.
Oh, Michael Bell?
Yes.
I believe 2 out of Huey, Dewey, and Louie get locked up by the villain.
No. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, all three get locked up.
Why do I... Wait!
Oh, pardon me, yeah, they all get locked up. Pardon me, yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's Blue! Keith Ferguson plays Blue on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
He is also Reaper in Overwatch, yes.
Oh my god.
But this is where one of, like, the buzzards from FAL, the organization that was actually in Darkwing Duck, but is now the main villain of Ducktales this season, comes in. I can't remember the name of this agent. I think it's something.
I gotta search it up
Bradford.
again. Okay, hold on.
I remembered it.
During this time, Huey, Dewey, and Louie point out the machine, and they point out a very basic scientific and philosophical fact that you can't get something from nothing, because it just otherwise is just complete utter nonsense, and that would defy the first law of thermodynamics. Look it up.
Yeah, he's pulling it from other dimensions, and he's like breaking both worlds. Like he's making everything unstable.
Oh, Bradford Buzzard.
Yeah, his name is Bradford Buzzard. He directly talks to Bulba and is like, "Hey, you're gonna give up our evil plan." And Bulba's like, "Yeah, I'm changing my plans. Pray I don't change them further, bitch." And then he throws him in a cell where Huey, Dewey, and Louie actually break out and rescue him. And I'm not going to talk a ton about this plot point because it's like a side thing to the Darkwing episode. But
wait, Lin-Manuel Miranda's in this?
Yeah, he plays Gizmo Duck.
How did I not
know who he is? He plays Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
There's a million things I haven't done, but just
not
you.
Throw away my shot.
Blathering blatherskites. But to move it along, Bradford essentially spends the rest of the story with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They avoid Bushroot at one point, who is very scary in this. But
he doesn't even talk. It's just like.
In this episode, we get the revelation that Bradford is a villain, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie find out about that, and they get chucked into another dimension, which, in case you didn't notice, is actually the classic DuckTales.
A sea monster ate my ice cream!
It is 100% they got thrown into the classic DuckTales, and it's so cool to see.
The blue coat, yeah.
A sea monster
they all got
ate my ice cream!
A sea monster ate my ice cream!
Monster ate my ice cream!
Kellen, when you do a Scottish accent, it kind of sounds like, overkill. Because you're Scottish.
I'm already Scottish, so Scottish plus Scottish equals more Scottish! Anyway.
Double Scottish punch.
Stop
Scottishing.
He can't get in his blood.
So with Darkwing, Goslin wants to take out all of the villains. She's being too excited. They even show a security tape of all 4 villains attacking a cop. Did you notice who that cop was they were attacking?
I recognize.
Wait, Bonkers?
That was Bonkers.
Yay, take him out. Good.
They
Yes.
referenced Bonkers.
He sucks.
It was weird to freaking see, though, man. Like, I thought we'd never see Bonkers again, and yet there he was.
Hey, at least he didn't talk. I'm okay with that.
He was kind of the butt of the joke this episode, but hey, they still referenced him, and that's so cool. They also
Take that,
referenced
you Roger Rabbit ripoff.
They also referenced an old show about dogs at one point.
They have yet to reference Tailspin and Gummy Bears and Gargoyles.
Incorrect. They haven't referenced Gargoyles, but Gummy Berry Juice and the Legend of the Gummy Bears has popped up in the show, and they have referenced what's the other one you said?
Tailspin.
Oh, never mind.
Tailspin characters are going to show up in this season of the show, and they have had Don Cornage pop up, so they have referenced Tailspin.
Did they reference Goof Troop?
Yeah, Goofy showed up too.
With Bill Farmer.
Guys, if you can think of it, they probably referenced it.
At this point, they might as well do like some type of Disney afternoon crossover for like the grand finale of Ducktales.
The show is the Disney afternoon crossover. Not even kidding. There is a scene during the Halloween episode where Launchpad is wearing a hockey mask, and that hockey mask is the one from Mighty Ducks.
Ducks, yes.
Oh my goodness. Ducks rock! No, they don't. Just kidding.
But moving forward, Goslin wants to fight all the villains. Darkwing is fundamentally against it because these are real supervillains, and there's danger here. He just wants to protect the kids. But he is encouraged to go try to fight Quackerjack, being told, it's just one villain, we can do it. And it ends in them being chased by a frickin' robot while they are on a motorcycle, and then they had to fight Liquidator too.
Oh yeah, they reference like the episode.
They even sing the theme song at one point where it's like, Daring Duck of Mysteries, Champion of Fright.
I believe that it was a joke. I think it's the funniest joke. Like, oh, the situation. How would Darkwing Duck start this? Sing the theme song. That is how it starts.
Well, Quackerjack essentially like attacks them for a little bit. And we get back. Goslin is still mad they're not fighting the villains. She directly says that Darkwing is not her family. And she runs off. Launchpad has to console her. And Launchpad reveals that this entire time, even though Goslin feels like Darkwing's not doing enough, he's not helping find her grandpa, he is. He is on the phone right now with Gizmo Duck, played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, trying his damnedest to figure out how to work with the dimensional stuff. He hasn't been sleeping, and he's exhausted. This leads to a very heartfelt scene where a very tired Darkwing Duck is led to a couch to sleep on, and in the background you can hear a little melody being played while Darkwing is being tucked in and stuff. That song is from Darkwing Duck, and it is a lullaby that I believe Darkwing himself used to sing to Goslin. So it's really neat to see there. Anyways, Darkwing wakes up a few hours later. He knows that he has to go fight the villains, but he still wants to protect Goslin. So he goes and tries to do it one-on-one. Gets beat up a ton. Goslin and Launchpad eventually find out. They go save him by dressing as, I believe they say, B-list villains? Quackerjack is being super judgmental.
They said C-list villains.
Well, imagine if, like, you're the Joker just hanging out, and frickin' Polka Dot Man walked up and was like, hi, I'd like to fight Batman too.
The Condiment King, yeah.
But yeah, they let him in, and then they reveal they are not villains. They do the whole, I believe the one she says is, I am the technical difficulty that you're about to experience. And afterwards, Bilbo goes, where is Darkwing Duck? and he appears and attacks Bulba. This entire time, Bulba is trying to like advertise that the villains are going to be like his business. He's going to rent out the villains to people for burglar jobs and stuff. And they all fight, making so many references to Darkwing Duck. Gosling gets the key and lets Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Scrooge out of that dimension, but Huey tells her, no, you can't find your grandpa. It's gonna break. It's going to destroy the world if we keep this up. And she's about to shut it off, but then Bulba goes, Gosling, wait! We don't need this dimension. We can make another dimension with your grandfather. And Gosling starts crying, but she takes out her crossbow and she breaks the machine, essentially trapping her grandfather in another dimension forever. And it's a sad moment.
Thus disabling Pink King from reuniting with his... Oh, wait, no, this isn't Into the Spider-Verse, sorry.
Yeah, Kingpin will never find his... Kingpin's just in the background behind Bulba, crying. Yeah, so the episode ends with Bulba getting arrested. The family reuniting, but just as they are about to leave the building, Bradford Buzzard pops out and jumps out the window into a helicopter labeled FAL. And now Scrooge knows that FAL is targeting them, and he says lines of, our lives just got much more dangerous.
Dangerous. There's an emphasis on the word dangerous.
So the episode ends somberly, but also on a high note, because Darkwing walks up to Gosling and is like, Launchpad knows a lot of scientists. Maybe we can find your grandpa. And until then, maybe you'd like to be my crime-fighting partner. And the reason this is so important is because in the show, Gosling is Darkwing's adopted daughter. And this is kind of like, setting that up a little bit. And I love the scene where Launchpad is watching them and crying, and then Dewey looks to Launchpad and says, go to them. And Launchpad runs to them and goes, I'm coming too! So if there is a Darkwing show, of course Launchpad's going to be in it.
And they have the perfect plot for it. Although there's an alternative dimension where Darkwing Duck is real, so...
Mm-hmm. Well, what Launchpad says is, I will spend my days in Duckburg, and I'll spend my nights in St. Canard, and I'll sleep on the drive over. Which is hilarious. God, DuckTales is so funny. I can't even. But yeah, the episode ends with the three of them on the motorcycle and a big hearty, let's get dangerous. And yeah, that's the end of the obvious backseat pilot episode. Like, this is obviously a pilot episode for the next Darkwing Duck show.
Reboot.
There is no debate about it. This is going to lead to the show one day.
Yeah, but might be bold enough to ask the question just to speculate and to expect other case scenarios. What if it doesn't happen? What would people make of these episodes then?
Well, then I hope they would, if there is no Darkwing Duck TV show, I would hope they just do more with Darkwing in DuckTales. Maybe have a big episode like this every season.
That makes sense.
But as is, I think this episode is wonderful. I think it's a great Darkwing episode. I do like the first episode better than this, just because it hit me more. But there's so much more action in this, and you actually get to see Darkwing villains. The first one felt like it was for a fan of superheroes of any variety. This one felt like it was for the people who love Darkwing Duck. And I think that's wonderful. What did you guys think?
Took the words right out of my mouth. Quite literally for Charisse.
What happened to Charisse? Is she dead? She's probably dead.
Oh, we clearly established it before we did the call. Charisse has two modes. She has talkie mode and silent mode. She is currently on Charlie Chapman mode. Yes.
He is muted.
Oh, she's literally muted as well in the chat.
Well, I guess something is happening. Cher, what are your thoughts on this episode? Do you have any?
Charades.
Well, Cher can't speak. It's another episode where something goes wrong with Cher.
It got dangerous.
It got dangerous. You do realize when we do the Descendants roleplay, you're gonna have to talk during that a lot, right?
Duh.
I hope so.
No, it's good. I liked it.
Was there any highlights for you? I assumed you would like Gosland.
I like Goslin. She's like Barbara Gordon-ish / Robin.
She does kind of have that aspect to her where she's like the in-between between Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Cal, anything you want to say before we go to the rating?
And references. There's so many references. I've been laughing. So funny.
Yeah, they literally mentioned the names of episodes during the final action scene.
To the point where you watched one.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beat, they mentioned that. And again, the plant villain who was introduced was kind of sympathetic and goofy in the original. Really intimidating in this new version.
It's like it has no soul.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it because they kind of needed, like, they had Quackerjack and Liquidator was, so in the show, Liquidator was like one of those commercial salespeople who's like, order now or your money back. So the entire time he's doing that joke where he's like, guaranteed to defeat Darkwing Duck or you can return it. And I love that reference. Quackerjack, of course, had his same voice actor. And I don't know if this was a thing with the old show, but did Megavolt have a connection to that freaking camera? Because he was holding the camera and he goes, "Okay, Gladys, you're gonna make camera stuff now." And I was just like, why does he think the camera's name is Gladys?
I think maybe it has to do something with like electricity.
I mean, I wondered if that was a reference to like the fact he had like a girlfriend who was a camera or something named Gladys.
No, I think she was talking to me. Now we're going to participate in the Science Enrichment Center for cake. What kind of cake would you like? Personally, I like mine filled with neurotoxin. Ha ha.
Well, according to these images that I found on Google, there is a camera that can shoot laser rays.
Oh, nice.
I want freaking cameras that can shoot freaking lasers.
But yeah, so where do we rate this episode then? I think once again this is another 9. I don't think this is a 10 out of 10. It's really good though, really entertaining. 9. Probably
9.
I don't know if it's robust or combust. We'd have to check our rating system, but it's right below Disney Must. I think it's pretty good. If you're a Darkwing fan, this has got to be a Disney Must. And also, it's on YouTube, so just watch it. Do you guys agree with that rating, or do you have your own?
I think
Throw Rumpus.
All right. Well, with that, ladies and gents, we have to move on to one of the more final sections of this episode. You know it, you love it. It's Neil's Merch Spotlight. So today we are going to the time of the Darkwing Duck original and the Ducktales original. What if I told you that this was not the first crossover between Darkwing Duck and Ducktales? No, my friends. As Yoda said, there is another. If you would like to know, there is a comic series about a crossover between Darkwing Duck and Ducktales. And the specific episodes I recommend for you, the comics, Dangerous Currency, is amazing. It is a great ending to both shows and involves tons of the Darkwing and Ducktales villains coming together. I'm talking Magica Dispel. I'm talking Megavolt. I am talking Steelbeak. It is everywhere. It is so cool to see, and it really is a great ending to both original shows. So if you're a fan of either, you should probably check it out.
Wow, Dangerous
Callum is
Currency.
frozen and his face is just looking at me.
That one's profile picture is scary.
I'm seeing the image that Neil sent us. You can't take me seriously anymore.
We never could.
Am I moving?
All right, speak, boy, speak.
You're good.
Yes, I am speaking to you now. I was just looking at the image there, the picture of Gizmo Duck bursting forth from a pool of oil, and Darkwing Duck and Launchpad and Scrooge seem to be drowning.
That's from,
Cuphead.
that's from the ink blot.
Cuphead.
So you don't know who the ink blot is. He pops up in a lot of stuff, including Epic Mickey. He's a villain in older cartoons. He's a villain in comics.
That villain and shows up in the comics?
Yeah, Inkblot is a Disney villain from the comics and stuff that just pops up everywhere and is currently in season 3 of DuckTales.
Woo!
Yeah, so if you want to see Inkblot be kind of important, go ahead and read that comic. It's really, really good.
Or play Epic Mickey or watch season 3 of DuckTales.
Yeah, I don't remember which Epic Mickey Inkblot is in, but I think it's the first one.
Yeah, it's the first one, right?
I think so. I know Oswald is in both, right? Oswald the Lucky Rabbit?
Oswald
Yeah.
the Lucky Rabbit. Before Mickey, there was Oswald. Until Universal happened.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that would be the end of our episode, right? Unless we were to give Darkwing Duck a ride, which I wouldn't know what to do.
Motorcycle up the bridge.
You know what they gotta do? They gotta literally recreate that one scene. So you'll be attacked by a giant robot, then you'll be doused with several gallons of water, and then you'll be shocked to death by Megavolt. Essentially everything that happened to Bonkers, that'll happen to you. You are Bonkers.
But what happens if they die?
Then Disney has to bury another body.
I'm disturbed.
Another day in the service.
You should be. We all should be. Anyways, what are we reviewing next? Let's be upbeat again.
Does it have to do something with Brie Larson?
We can do that if we have to. Stop it, Kel. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Inevitable, Neo.
Not inevitable. I can stop it. I don't wanna.
Or we could do Tangled. I haven't watched Tangled in such a long time.
Tangled the series. Neil, should you choose to do Captain Marvel, we'll do it together. We can be brave about this. We'll be more supportive now.
All right.
Yes.
All right. We'll do Captain Marvel next.
We'll get it over with.
Yay!
We'll let you rest.
Remember when we were talking
Movie,
about
here we come.
family? Remember how we were talking about family? Next
You guys are
Thursday's
gonna
Thanksgiving.
Hey,
So
you guys can be my Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Share is Webby. Callum, you can be Dewey, and I'll be Louie. And Huey can be no one.
wait, who's Huey and who's Scrooge
No one
and
Huey.
who's Launchpad and who's
I'll be Launchpad. I'm Launchpad.
People watching this could be you and
You know what? Let's change it up. I'm Darkwing Duck, Callum's Launchpad, and you're Goslin Share.
Heck yeah!
That fits.
Let's get dangerous.
All right. I could be your uncle. I could be like Uncle Ben. I think they sell rice under that name title.
Well, you
Hey,
have older than like 2
I
years.
didn't know Peter Parker's uncle sold rice or things like that.
Rice?
Are you pretending to be
Rice
Uncle
gummies?
Ben as Launchpad? With great power comes great responsibility. The
like
responsibility to crash an airplane. All right, well, let's end it, suckers. Everybody out there, don't be afraid to get a little dangerous and enjoy some Darkwing and Ducktales. Goodbye.
Woohoo!
Don't forget
Mr.
to
Young
try out
Walker.
haggis. Don't forget to try out haggis during your free time. It's quite delicious and it'll get you cultured in school.
It tastes like sweaty socks, and that's how you know it's haggis. If it's not sweaty socks, you're eating the wrong meat.
Don't worry, it's good. It's delicious. I guarantee you it. Maybe it smells like old socks. Maybe it doesn't. Either way, it's haggis.
Alright, let's end this thing by getting dangerous.
Yeah, my love is like a red, red rose. This poem has nothing to do with
the episode, you derpy bastard.
Bye!
Scotland forever!
In the episode on time. You
Cal,
never
end
do it.
I just, already.
Press the damn button.
You always do this. You always
You always do this.
It's fun.
Is this gonna be your running gag?
I think so. I think so. That's my Neil's reaction. Bye.
Adios. Au revoir.
In the fucking episode.
How long can I go on for?
I got shit to do tonight.
Okay, I'll